Hello, and welcome back to Diatonic Dissection, where we crack open music to see what makes it tick. This video marks the beginning of our look at the soundtrack for the original Sonic the Hedgehog, composed by Masato Nakamura. There isn't much to be said about this soundtrack that hasn't already been said, as it is one of the most well-known soundtracks in the history of gaming. Unlike many other game composers of the time, Nakamura wasn't originally a composer for video game music. He was, and still is, a session musician, as well as one of the founders of the pop group Dreams Come True, which was founded in 1988. Nakamura was approached to do the music for Sonic by Sega, and was writing it during the recording of the fourth Dreams Come True record, Million Kisses. If you listen to them, you can hear where the sounds of the band and the Sonic soundtrack meet. This quick example, providing it doesn't get the video flagged, etc., is from a track called Selfish Night, off the 1989 album Love Goes On. As always, the sheet music for these tracks will be available for free on the Patreon, patreon.com/Diatonic Dissection. There is a link in the description down below to save you having to type it out and trying to spell it. A quick note on the instruments/parts for the Sonic soundtrack. The sound chip in the Sega Genesis/Mega Drive has 6 channels compared to the NES and Game Boy's 4. The software I use to isolate tracks generates about 9 different channels, so there may be more than 6, but officially there are just 6. Now, let's get into it and start with the title theme. The tempo is 230 BPM and the key is A major. Most of the G notes in this are natural, so that would imply that it has been written with a Mixolydian scale, which is a major scale with a flattened 7th. As always, we will start with the chords and then go into the individual parts. There are only 2 chords for the title theme, A and G. As mentioned earlier, the G is natural even though the key says it should be a G sharp. The main melody is very simple but effective. The same basic melody repeats twice before the final 2 bars, which end with a semitone step, as is proper music theory, how to properly end a piece stuff. The main theme has the same kind of bouncy feel as ragtime or certain types of country music. So here is the title theme in the country style, along with some unnecessary harmonies at the end. The counterpoint follows roughly the same melody as the main one, with a few notes omitted from the start. For the final 2 bars, it provides a little bit of background to add to the ascending sound with an arpeggio. As mentioned earlier, the Mega Drive/Genesis sound chip has more channels, so it means we have more parts to work with. This part has a brass synth sound and, much like the counterpoint, plays something very similar to the main melody. Rhythmically, the bass is similar to the main melody with some little extras at the end of each phrase. I use a 6-string bass that is tuned to drop A to get that final super duper low note. Obviously, if you don't have a 5th string or just don't tune that low, you can just do it an octave up. The drums start off the whole track with 3 snare hits. Don't fall into the trap that I did and take that as the count into something involving blast beats. After the counting, it's all pretty straightforward. Just remember that it has a swung triplet feel. we are done with the title theme, let's move on to the next section, Robotnik. The music plays when you meet the bald, mustachioed antagonist of many of the Sonic games, known by his full name as Dr. Ivo Robotnik. The key is B minor and the tempo is 110 BPM. There are only 4 chords for this: B minor over F sharp, G, F sharp minor, and an uninverted B minor to finish. The main melody is quite simple, but be careful of accidentals and to keep the triplets even. Counterpoint is even simpler than the main melody and usually starts off the beat. Keep an eye out for the accidentals again. There is an extra part which you can hear in the track as a harpsichord type sound. This part features B add 11, B minor 7 and F sharp minor flat 9 arpeggios, which also involve a pedal point. If you play them together as chords, it ends up sounding quite jazzy. Self-indulgence aside, here's the actual part played correctly. Much like the title track, the bass requires drop A tuning. You can slap most of the track for a sound that's closer to the original, but it's entirely up to you. Remember to keep the triplets even. drums get something a bit more interesting to do, starting off with octave jumps between F sharps on timpani, but the rest of it is all snare work. Now that we are done with Robotnik, let's move on to the final section of this video, music for the final stage. It's all very pleasing. This is the music for the stage where you take on Robotnik with no rings, so one mistake and you are dead, and so the music is suitably stressful. Not as stressful as the drowning music, but nothing can top that. The key is A minor and the tempo is 125 BPM. There are 4 chords for the final stage, and they move in a cycle ascending and returning back to the first. A minor, F, G, and G sharp diminished. The G sharp diminished chord doing some very good official music theory stuff by sharpening the 7th at the end, even though it should be flat as it is a minor scale. Much like Robotnik, the main melody is simple but effective. The only accidental to watch out for is the G sharp that appears over the second G sharp diminished chord in bar 9. Counterpoint doesn't feel much like it as it starts over halfway through the first bar, but it does provide something to listen to during the held note of the main melody. It starts with the timpanis for the pickup bar and then involves various arpeggios, so if you're playing this on guitar you will need to do some string crossing and fret barring. The extra melody for the final stage features a pedal point, which, if sped up excessively, sounds like it could be a verse riff to a metalcore song. This part, after channeling a sedated kill-switch engage, finishes with descending chromatic fourths. lowest note for the bass part is an E, so you don't need the 5th string tuned to drop A this time. Hooray! Obviously there are accidentals to watch out for, but also be aware of the 16th note pickups between bars as they are done on the adjacent string. Drums, you get to play with timpanis again. They're more intertwined with the drum part itself than Robotnik, as you'll see. Apart from the timpani part, it's all snare work again. And that's it. Another short video, but we still managed to stretch 60 seconds of music into several minutes of analysis. As always, leave a like, subscribe, comment, ring the bell, or commit arson in the name of the algorithm gods. If you want the sheet music for this, then sign up over on the Diatonic Dissection Patreon, patreon.com/Diatonic Dissection. Links down below. I hope that you enjoyed the video and found it interesting/entertaining, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!